How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm joined here by McKenna, also known as Swoler Scout, in an episode of Get to Know That Cosplayer. How are we doing, McKenna?
I'm doing really well. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Again, thank you for coming on to talk about your cosplay and convention experience and then whatnot.
Of course. Oh, before we start, did you know you have like a really nice podcast voice?
I have been
You
told many
said that?
times. You're not the first person who's told me that, so I've heard it
I mean,
multiple
it's
times.
true.
Thank you. So, I gotta ask first, what made you go by the name Swoler Scout?
Okay, so that one's a pretty easy one. It's a parody off of Sailor Scout, which is Sailor Moon, which was like one of my first fandoms that I ever got into.
Good anime.
It's so good, and when I got into fitness, it was through cosplay, so I was like the buff cosplayer. So I just kind of combined the two and I made Swoler Scout, so Swoler being buff and then it to be a parody on Sailor Scout, because I'm getting stronger with the power of friendship and cute outfits. So that's kind of where I came up with that.
I mean, I've seen your cosplays and they're really well done. I think the one of my favorite ones I've seen on yours was your Wanda Maximoff, your Scarlet Witch.
Thank you. I really like that one. It's really comfortable. I feel like the most underrated ones are the most comfortable ones.
And there, as I always say, there is nothing wrong with that. So, what was your very first convention that you went to, and what was your very first cosplay at the time? If you can remember that far back.
Oh my God. So bear with me. That was over 10 years ago.
Oh, so you're in the category of cosplay veteran, as I call it.
I've seen a lot of it. I haven't really gotten into like the community as much until recently. But I've been in the con scene for forever. I
So
just didn't know how to use the internet.
well, I mean, back then, cosplaying 10 years ago was, it was still kind of it's like, I think what 10 years ago, it just started becoming more mainstream.
hmm at that time, I think what really like made things pop off, this is just me showing my age, of Deadpool became really popular in the con scene, like right once I started going to
Oh,
cons. So
God, yeah.
it was just a sea of red for a really long time. Because then Harley Quinn
Uh,
would also get in, so the girls would have Harley Quinn and the guys would get Deadpool.
oh,
It was
yeah.
just
The
red.
Deadpool movie, Suicide Squad. Yeah, yeah. So I feel like
And then
Harley
we had
Quinn.
the video game too, which would like made everything really popular. And so that just was like one of my first memories. My first actual convention was a con that doesn't exist now. It was in Houston. It was called Space City Con.
I don't think I've ever heard of
Basically,
that.
I it doesn't exist anymore. It was kind of big for a couple of years, but Houston had a lot of conventions that were competing with each other, so one of them died, some of them stayed. Um, but it was pretty small at the time. It was in like a little hotel venue. The hotel wasn't that big. It was off in some cul-de-sac. But it was one of my first experiences. I was a young teenager at the time, and I invited one of my friends to go with me. And she was like, all the cool kids, they cosplay when they go to conventions. So if you want to be cool like everybody else who's going to be there, you've got to dress up too.
I
So I
mean,
got peer
true.
pressured into cosplay. Um, and I did Tinkerbell, like a hipster Tinkerbell, because at that time hipsters were also a thing.
Yeah,
Being like
sounds
too
about
cool.
right.
I don't mean to like bring up really cringy past, but like that's what got me into everything. And then I started seeing people dress up in fandoms that I didn't really know people liked, so like a lot of anime and stuff. And I just realized that there was a whole universe that I was not involved in yet, and that I was so excited to be a part of.
So he said hipster Tinkerbell. Oh, we'll go more into that. Um, we'll go more into talking about that later. So what was it like going having Space Con? What was it like when it was still a thing?
It was quite small. It was actually quite nice. So it was based off like Star Wars, Star Trek, so more sci-fi. Um,
Nice.
and it went on for a couple of years. It was my first convention, so it was near and dear to my heart. Um,
Never forget your first.
Truly, you don't. Like I said, I still remember everything of that convention. Remember how many cosplayers were there. I remember finding out what Homestuck was because cosplayers and Homestuck were a thing. Um, I started making some friends there. It was just this new experience of seeing people dress up, seeing people sell things that were my fandoms, seeing all this stuff, and it blew my mind. Like, I get it now that people would want to come together and enjoy things together, but I was so young and it wasn't mainstream at the time that seeing people have, anime trinkets around and posters and drawings and people dressing up and people coming up to you asking what you're dressing up as. It blew my mind that just something like that I love so dearly could even exist. And it still does to this day. It's just as exciting. I get called out by my friends a lot for fangirling too much at conventions, even though I have been around for 10 years. Um, but it's just such a wonderful thing. And when I saw that for the first time, I was like, I have to keep doing this. I gotta go back.
10 years later, it sounds like you're still enjoying it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm traveling for conventions now. It is wild.
Nice. So have you been to any like big, fancy, well-known cons?
So I've been to Comic-Con International, San Diego Comic-Con. I've been to that 3 or 4 times now. So that would be like my biggest convention that I've ever been to.
Not to mention the
Uh,
travel just to
oh
get there, and
yeah.
how expensive that con is. Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of my like I can brush off my shoulder and be like, yes, I have accomplished going to the Comic-Con International. That one was be definitely my biggest one, I would say. I went to MegaCon in Florida as a
I've heard
cosplayer.
I've heard of that, but never been there.
That one I would say was like my first solo big convention because I that was last year and it was the first time I had met cosplayers online and was just like, screw it, I'm going to this convention. Anybody want to host me? And a couple of my friends reached out that I'd never met in person. And I ended up staying in a hotel room with like 6 other people. Mind you, there was only 2 beds, and I think they were like twin sized. Uh,
Yeah, there's always that, where people have to sleep on the floor or something.
yeah, that room did not fit all of us, but it was my first experience going out and like that was a big convention and it was the first time just kind of putting myself out there like that. So I'd say those are my two bigger cons. Next year and this year, next week I'm going to Hallmat for the first time.
Nice. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. So the mind you, this video won't be out till next year.
Okay, that's fine. So last year I just have now gone to Holiday Matsuri in Florida.
Nice. I've heard I heard it's a lot different than anime Matsuri, which is in Texas.
Yes, so I have been to Anime Matsuri. Um, I forget which ones I guess are big that are considered in Texas. Been to Anime Matsuri for so many years now, so I guess that one's a big one too. But that one's just my hometown one, so I guess I kind of think a little bit it's more familiar than the rest of them are.
Nice.
And then I'm also going to Dragon Con in a couple of
Hockey!
months. So it's
You get to go to a party con.
oh yeah, I've been wanting to go since I could start drinking. I was just so excited that this existed and I am just really excited to get to experience Dragon Con.
No, I mean, from what I've heard, Dragon Con is that. I mean, that con is on my list to go to one of these years. That's like a con I have to save for since I live all the way here in Oregon. Um, so advice for those who are wanting to get into going into conventions or those who want to try them out, what advice would you want to give?
Oh, I love this question because I still get asked that now with all of my friends who are from the gym or just in regular day life. I get asked that a lot. Um, One, don't cosplay people you look like, or don't limit yourself to cosplaying people you look like, but cosplay people who you feel like, people who resonate with you. Um, because at the end of the day, you are going to be this person. You don't exist outside of this world when you go to a convention. You don't exist as yourself. So don't worry about trying to look like this person or look like whatever you need to. Just try to embody the character that you truly love. And when you show up there, people are going to respond to who you are showing up as. And the more you can be happy with what you bring to the table, the more you're going to enjoy the convention, the more love you're going to get from everybody else. So don't limit yourself to what you feel like your body has to look like or what gender a person is. Uh, just try to have fun and go as a character that you truly love because cosplay is something so remarkable on its own that if you can experience it in its fullest, you're going to love it and you're going to come back to it.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. So before we get into some about cosplays and everything, oh wait, no, another question is kind of convention related. What are your thoughts on convention exit buddies? Basically, bringing someone with you to a con. They may not be into the con, but it's a good like idea to bring someone along just so you're not like overwhelmed or anxiety and all that stuff kicks in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh, Handlers are great. If you're going dressed up, bring a friend so that if you can't see, you don't trip down the stairs. Pro tip, don't die at a convention. Also, pro tip, have fun at a convention. So if you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel comfortable talking to people and you know your friend is better than you are, bring your friend. Put drag them over. It'll be a great time. Even if they don't enjoy it, I found that people who don't particularly invest that time into fandoms still love people watching because the people that you see at these conventions are bizarre at the very like what's the word? It's an understatement to call them bizarre, basically. But they're lovely people and they'll love to talk to you. And if you're new to it, please bring a friend because one, you can get them involved into it. Now you have a con buddy. And then two, if you don't know the scene and you're trying to get to know people, it is so hard to go alone because you can get so lost. So please bring a friend. I love that idea. Again, the only reason I really started cosplaying was because my friend was like, all the cool kids, they do it. And so that's how I even went to cons and started dressing up. So bring somebody who will make you feel confident because it is a weird world and it is so different than normal life. So having a friend and some type of familiarity makes it so much easier to transition into.
I can't argue with that. And I'm sure you also agree if you're going to your first con or big, especially a big con, always make sure you have a set budget.
Set budget, also water. Um, that water is something. So two things with that, like you said, budget. One of my friends only ever brings cash to a convention because I've never met a vendor who doesn't accept cash. And also, you can look at what's in your hand. And then once you start seeing it dwindle, you can be like, okay, maybe I should wait. Also, from my experience, don't buy everything on the first day.
Oh
Maybe wait until
no.
Sunday
Oh
to
yeah,
make
wait till
sure
the last
you
day.
like if you really have to have it, then sure, buy it. But if it's something that like you're like, that's amazing, go through all the aisles, go through all the vendor alleys, go through everything, go through the artist alleys. make your rounds a couple of times, and if you really have something speaking to you, then go buy it. But please don't impulse buy because you will go broke and have to start taking out loans and mortgages faster
Oof.
than you can even think. You will
Jeez.
be signing off your liver faster than you know.
You have to
Um,
basically sacrifice your arm, your leg, and your brother.
yes, exactly. The spirit of your unborn child, like all of them will have to go if you just
Oh
start
yeah, no.
impulse buying.
And don't get up. And for those who are watching, don't get upset if that item's there not the next day, because you know sometimes it's good to just to enjoy the con and not buy something.
Yes. Worst comes to worst, say you do go to a place and there's an item there that you wanted, you come back, it's not there. If it's an independent vendor, ask them personally, hey, can I get this item? And usually they will be more than happy to ship it to you. I went to a convention and so many of them were like, look, we just have this on display. We'll ship it to you, no problem. Because a lot of these guys are mom and pop shops, they are small companies. And if they are not small companies, guess what? They're going to have more of whatever you saw on display because then they're mass producing it. Either way, just talk to these people because if it's really the last thing that they've ever made ever, then at least you got to see it and experience it. It's okay that you didn't get it. But usually most people are really nice. Like I said, con people can be really nice. Just ask them
Oh,
if
oh yeah, no, definitely.
you can get it and if they can ship it to you because generally speaking, they will be more than happy to work with you because they want your business.
No, I wholeheartedly agree on that. So next thing, kind of get into the cosplay topic. Thoughts on thrifting for your cosplays if you're a cosplayer on a budget or if you're someone new to the cosplay scene.
Oh, hell yeah. I don't know if I could say that, but
You're
hell
you're
yeah.
allowed to you're allowed to say that, and I will allow I will allow one F word. If you do say any more F words, I will have to bleep that out in post.
I will cap myself off with hell yeah, and that's it. So that we don't have any, strike-ins on your podcast. Um, I love it. I love it. However, cosplay thrifting is super fun if you have a lot of time. Cosplay thrifting is super fun if you are on a budget. Cosplay thrifting is super fun if you are creative and you really have just bold ideas to get things going and are willing to do plenty of research. If you are not falling under any of those categories, it is not for you because it takes time, effort, and passion to get into cosplay thrifting. And you got to have a little bit of craftsmanship to do that. But guess what? You got YouTube, you got reference photos, you got all of that. I love cosplay thrifting. That's where I've gotten a lot of my costumes. I've put together a lot of things that way. I feel like it definitely brings your own personal style to cosplays, and nothing is better than saying you got a cosplay under $100 because don't get me wrong, buying a costume, it makes a whole lot of sense. Making a costume from scratch also makes a whole lot of sense, but both of those are extremely expensive. And if you want to invest that money, do it. But also, if you just want to make this costume your own and you just want to go out and try to experience new things and you're on a budget and you're new to it and you don't know if you want to invest all that, go thrifting. It is so fun. It is a prize before the prize. It is such a fun time because you'll never know what you're going to come up with. And the moment you start finding these pieces, it's just going to all come together. It's going to be amazing. You're going to feel so accomplished when you show up. And then you can tell people, like, hey, I bought these items for like $5 a piece. And it's going to feel even better because nothing feels better than buying something for cheap. I swear.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree, and it also doesn't hurt to do a casual version of a well-known character because you can get away with that.
Absolutely. Closet cosplays are very fun. That was my first costume, which was the hipster Tinkerbell, was like a very casual cosplay. Those things are a lot of fun. It just helps you ease into a con. If you are an experienced veteran of a cosplayer, having a casual cosplay is super important because the last thing you want is stressing all convention because of a very expensive cosplay you have. They're comfortable. They are so underrated. I wish more people did it because I love watching any like YouTuber or cosplay creator talk about how they went through and like thrifted their stuff because it's such a cool process. And like you just get so many ideas doing it. But again, I don't recommend doing it the day before a convention because that can be very stressful
It's
and
basically what
probably
we call con crunching.
yeah, con crunching. It is stressful. And unless you don't want to hype yourself up on 1,000 milligrams of caffeine, try to do it at least a week in advance. But I 100%, you know, you're going to convention, you know, you're gonna dress up, you know, you want to do all those things. Go thrifting, find those special items, find those things on a budget. It is so much better. And then you have all this extra money that you didn't spend on a costume that you can now spend at a con.
That is very true. So aside from the hipster Tinkerbell, what else? What's been your favorite thrifted cosplay?
Oh, um, hmm. Oh, so this is like partially thrifted, and it actually, I guess when this podcast has come out, it'll come out. So I did a Mira Jane cosplay from Saint or Mira Jane Saint and Soul from Fairy Tale. It's an anime. I haven't officially released.
I know who Mira yeah, I know who she is. She Elfman's sister and Lasana's sister.
Yes.
I know
So
exactly who she is.
she is amazing. I loved her. So I basically just put everything together from just random things that I found around town. Um, it was really cool. And I would say that was one of the more elaborate costumes that I put together. Um, that was the first time that I made fake boobs, which again, don't know if I can say on here, but
Yeah, that's okay. That is allowed.
okay, so but I I want to explain this really quickly
So
because
you basically made your own version of a fake chest like you see when female cosplayers wear the buff chest.
yes, so I did that because anime girls are something else.
They're well
Uh,
endowed in a sense.
exactly. And so I had some foam, leftover foam, and I just took a bed pad, like some like those mattress cushions that you put on top of your bed.
I know what you're
I
talking
took
about.
that and I cut it up to make the padding for the chest, and it actually turned out really well. But I got that for free, and it was something that I didn't really know if it was going to work, and it turned out pretty good. And honestly, yeah, that would probably be one of my weirder cosplay thrifts, but it's one of the most elaborate ones that I've put
It
together, and I
it
love
works.
it. It works. It works surprisingly well. Um,
So next question is another cosplay because we're gonna talk about some of your other cosplays. What's that one cosplay you haven't done in so long that you would like to bring back?
um, hmm. So there's one from a show that's so niche that like nobody knows, but it means a lot to me. And also I have dark hair now, so I can do it. It's a show called Bravest Warriors. It was on YouTube. It was from the same creators of Cartoon Network and Adventure Time, but this show was more geared towards adults or young adults on a you
Oh, with Catbug.
yes, that's where Catbug came from. So anytime you hear, oh, we have stuffed tacos, or you're my friend now.
I've heard of Bravest Warriors. Yeah, it's from the creators of Adventure Time.
Yeah, so they made that show, and I loved Beth, which is the female character in that. She is,
She's the one with the glasses and dark hair.
yes, she's
Nice.
absolutely the cutest. She is so spunky and so sassy. It's so smart. And it's just such a bizarre show that
It's not
I
meant for
want
kids though.
it's so it's not. But if you're a teenager or older, which I'm assuming is going to be majority of the people listening, um, please go to YouTube and watch it. It's free. It's hilarious. It is so good. It's so bizarre. It's what if basically the creators were given free reign to write what they wanted. And it's really not super adult-ish, as in like it's not Rick and Morty style of that far.
It's more it's a PG-13 type show.
Yes. So it's very cute. It's just a little off the age range of like, I don't know, up to 7. So it's basically if the creators were allowed to say more stupid things. And it's such a good show. And basically, her dad is like a mind controlled hamster dude mastermind. This is going to be talking to maybe like 3 people in the entire world who actually have watched the show. It's so good. Um, but yeah, there's so much that I could do with it now, and it's just such a bizarre show, and it's so funny, and the character animations is so cute. So if I could redo that, I would. I would
That'd be
do
pretty
that in
cool
a
to see.
heartbeat.
So now a, as I call it, a one and done cosplay. It was a cosplay you did because you wanted to see what it's like, someone asked you to, or it was just kind of a hell of a cosplay that you just decided to no longer do.
So I have 2 of those actually. Um, so I guess it's not a one and done. It had a while where I did Poison Ivy for a bit, but I did that many years ago, and as a person, an adult, a human being who lives and grows and changes and does all those cool things, I just couldn't fit in it anymore. And so eventually I had to bag it and put it away. And eventually it might come back if I redo it. But Poison Ivy was a one and done. Um, and then the again another character from Fairy Tale was I did a bodybuilding show and I showed up in cosplay because
Why not?
cosplayers can literally do whatever they want apparently because rules don't apply to us.
Pretty much.
And I made these just ungodly huge wings for this bodybuilding show and they are like 10 feet tall and they were, I think, like 6 feet wide, 10 feet tall, just absolute monstrosities of wings. And they were gorgeous, but they were held together by willpower. Like,
Who did you cosplay? Oh God, what's her name? Who was the who was that one and done cosplay from Fairy Tale?
it was Urza, Urza Scarlet in
Oh, and
her
her
night, like Heaven's Gate, Heaven's Wheel, night armor.
Heaven's. Wait, you made Ursa Scarlet's Heaven's Will armor wings?
Yes.
Holy crap!
So those were massive. Basically I did a bodybuilding show called Angels and you could bring any type of wings you wanted. One of my close friends did Mercy and she and her husband were like, "Hey, get into this. Do this. You do fitness things and you're a nerd." And I was like, "Say less, kiddos." And a couple of months later, I showed up as her with these just absolutely monster wings and they were gorgeous. They reflected rainbows. They had little swords on them. It was beautiful, and I would not trade that for the world. But that was such a it was a first time cosplay, and it was just because my friends were like, "You like this character? You want to compete in this show? Do both."
I mean,
And
so that sounds like a big build cosplay, which you now just
yes,
answered. What now? We should just answered a question I was going to ask. What's been your biggest build? Holy crap!
I would
Uh
say that that one took like 2 months to build.
oh, geez, yeah,
Um,
that's a long time, and that was for a bodybuilding. Jeez. Next question. What's been your all-time favorite cosplay? Like, no matter what, you always enjoy cosplaying it.
um, So Poison Ivy was a big all-time favorite cosplay before I had to tank that one because it didn't fit anymore. Um, I would say the newest one would be Sailor Jupiter. She's my first Sailor Scout that I've actually gotten to cosplay, and I have adored her since I was a child. She is so cool and she's so strong and she's so fierce, and I have loved her ever since she showed up on screen. And now that I get to actually cosplay her and make stuff with, that costume,
Nice.
um, that one has been an absolute dream.
Nice. So you say you do bodybuilding and you also cosplay. What is it like cosplaying when you do your bodybuilding things? Because that you'd be like the first one on here to talk about that.
It's so fun. So there's a category in bodybuilding called wings, and basically, like I said before, you can build any type of wings, any type of basically costume. It has to be somewhat bikini based because it is a bodybuilding show and you want to show off your muscular body and stuff. Um, but it's it's fascinating because basically you're watching yourself become like what you imagine your character to look like, and then also building, or for me at least, I built these like massive wings to go with this character. Urza is this immensely powerful character. She is physically strong, she's mentally strong, she's magically strong. She's got it all.
She says triple
Um,
threat.
yeah,
Plus she was in that fairy tale magazine in the show.
yes. So she is fit, she's got it all. She is a powerhouse. And so it was kind of a no-brainer that since she had this knight armor that she could use, um it only made sense that I would do her for my bodybuilding show. And I plan to do a lot more characters going forward. I've been taking a break and I'm competing in just a different category right now. Um so it's really fun. It's wild to try to figure out how to keep as much of that character there, without sacrificing character design and without sacrificing um that personality that that character brings, because you are kind of limited to what you can show on stage. And so it is it's a really creative process to go about doing that.
Nice.
um and it's really fun. I would suggest if more people are into fitness and cosplay to try to get into it, because it is so cool when you can see people do that. I feel like some of the most creative and most talented people who have stepped on stage are the nerdiest people, and I feel like the fitness industry is very crowded with non-creative people, that I feel like it's just so cool, and it's such an underrated thing that more nerds should just get a part of if that's something they're interested
I
in.
wholeheartedly agree. From what I've seen on your Instagram, you definitely like when you work out, you like wearing cosplays. Like I think one of my favorite ones I've actually seen aside from the Scarlet Witch was your Raven.
Oh yeah. So so apparently, did you know that Cartoon Network, the Teen Titans Go, they
Had
they
an
have a
episode.
yeah,
I've
they
seen
have
the
an
episode
episode of
where
Legless.
Raven. Yeah, I have seen the episode where Raven shows off her leg because her cloak's all like dirty and everything. Yeah, I have seen swole Raven legs on Cartoon Network. Yeah.
Yeah, Lady Legolas. That's a lot of people comment that whenever I post a video on like TikTok or something. They're like, "Oh snap, it's Lady Legolas," and I had no idea what they were talking about
You
at
had to look
first,
it up.
and I was like, "Man, this is insane." But yeah, I love her. I think it's really fun to cosplay her specifically because,
For anyone
uh,
wondering, this is Lady Legacy from
oh
the
yeah,
Teen Titans episode. Yeah.
it's hilarious. I that show gets so meta.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, so That one's funny. I love cosplaying Raven specifically at the gym anyways because her a lot of her stuff is like I feel like you can go a kind of more magical route with it, which is very fun. And also because she's part demon, yeah, she's part demon. She's the daughter of Trigon. It's fun to kind of go a little bit darker with it as well. Still superhero-y, but also kind of dark and mystic. And I think that's just really kind of fun when you're tapping into like brute strength.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. So now another favorite question of mine is, as like I call it, cosplay mishaps. Whether you were getting ready for the con, at the con, and a cosplay of yours ripped, snapped, broke off, teared, any just thing that did go wrong, that would go wrong, did go wrong.
Oh goodness. I had a wig fall off just mid convention by accident. I feel like a lot of people have gone through that one.
Oh yeah.
Uh, which is funny because this happened like last year, and I've been wearing wigs for like at least 5 years now. I'm a pro at wearing wigs, and just halfway through the convention, all I noticed was just like my wig was basically gone from my head, and I did not know. I feel like a lot of my mishaps actually have been from wigs, because they're so easy to not be noticing. A lot of like when I first started cosplaying, I didn't know how to do the hairline for a lot of wigs. So I didn't notice it until later because I was always asking friends if I looked all right and stuff, and apparently they were all fake. Because I would just see disgusting hairlines. And I feel like those ones to me stung the most more than any other cosplay mishap because I just have so much photo evidence. I feel like any other costume that's just fallen apart is something that you can fix. Or at least from my experience. I haven't had anything too tragic happen to me quite yet, but the wigs, there's photo evidence everywhere all the
Oh
time.
man.
And it stings so badly because
I feel like that is a cosplayer's number one fear is, you're at a con or you're in a competition, and next thing you know, you do that certain pose, and next thing you know, your wig goes flying off somewhere.
absolutely.
Uh, another favorite question I always like to ask, if anyone's familiar with cosplay and convention horror stories, a moment that happened at a con, you're like, did that actually happen? And why did it happen? And it just like made you like question, kind of like, okay, just a
So,
weird, just a weird, bizarre experience.
huh. I want to like say something that won't make people afraid of conventions because I feel like conventions have gotten better over the years. Um, when I say that, like, I mean for women. I have a lot of convention horror stories of being a young teen at conventions and just actual adult men being the worst.
Cosplay does
Uh,
not equal consent.
yes, and I feel like since then the area has focused a lot more on trying to protect cosplayers from being unnecessarily approached or given attention to. So before I say anything, I do want to say like I haven't experienced this a lot recently. If you are a teenager, please go with somebody who has been to conventions, who's experienced, who is an adult, or please go to a cosplayer ASAP if you feel uncomfortable. Um, because I have never not seen somebody who has felt uncomfortable that I wouldn't go up to and just be like, "Hey, how you doing? How's your con experience?" So I want to say that just really quickly because I love conventions with my heart and soul, and I don't want people to be afraid of conventions. But, but, I have had plenty of weird experiences. Let me see. I know. So a lot of them is like just a lot of weird happenings where just people try to take photos with you and it just always ends up strange. Um, those happen a lot. what is something that's like really bizarre that I never thought would happen? Oh man, I don't know. I'm sorry. A
That's
lot of
that's okay. We can move on to the next question if you like.
yeah, I just like I feel like that one's just not a really a question that I have a lot of fun answers for.
And
Um,
there's nothing wrong with that. So the next question, your favorite cosplay convention experience, like it was a moment that you'll never forget to this day.
I got to meet Ashley Eckstein.
Oh, the voice of Ahsoka Tano?
Ahsoka Tano, yes. She also created
Nice.
the clothing brand Her Universe, which is very popular in Hot Topic. Makes most of the Star Wars female outfits currently. So if you see like a lot
Nice.
of Star Wars female
I didn't know
merch,
she I didn't know she had her own clothing brand.
yeah, so she is a freaking amazing woman. I love her. I when I got into Star Wars, I just kept constantly telling my partner at the time that I was gonna marry Ahsoka because I was in love with Ahsoka. Um, yeah, so I got to meet her twice in one convention, which was a big shocker. Um, Basically, like she was doing a sign meet and greet, basically, and I didn't know it was happening because I bought the pop and there was a big line and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, yeah, if you have something, you can just go up and meet her. Like, it wasn't paid, it wasn't anything. You just had the pop in line.
Oh, it's basically you bring an item and get it signed for free.
Yes. Um, and so I just bought her the Ahsoka book. Um, and the pop was there, so I got the pop as well. I went up, met her. She's a lot shorter than I am, and
Oh
I
yeah, no,
was not
she's
expecting that.
definitely yeah, she's definitely short.
She's a tiny lady, and I'm not so tiny of a lady. Um,
Aren't you a
and
little short to be a storm?
she, but she's so sweet. She's so nice. And then the next day, basically, I was just like wandering around the Star Wars booth, and I was actually with my dad, and we were just walking around, and I was like, "Dad, Dad, it's Ahsoka, it's Ashley." And he's like, "Go say hi to her," because he's been doing cons longer than I have, and he does not think any famous person is worth the stress. He thinks it's worth meeting them, but it's not worth the stress of not meeting them. So he
I
was
get
just like,
it.
"Go talk to her." And so I went up to her and I was like, "Look, I really got to sit down and chat with her, and God bless that woman. I love her so much. She has made the characters so much more enjoyable just because I've met her. Um, and then I saw her at MegaCon last year. I did not go approach her because I wasn't quite sure it was her, and it was also like 10 o'clock at night, and she was in the hotel I was with a bunch of friends, and my close Star Wars friend, who apparently is fake because she didn't know who Ashley Eckstein was. Um, I was like, "It's her, it's her." I just kept looking over and I was like, it's Ashley. And my friend's like, "Who's Ashley?" And I was like, "Ahsoka Tano." How do you not know that? She knew who she was, but she didn't know the voice actress's name.
It happens.
So I was doing my slight fangirl moment off in the corner. And I didn't approach her that time because I guess like her friends saw that I was like pointing at her and being like, "Guys, it's her." And one of them stepped in front of her. So I was like, okay, they're clearly doing something. I'm gonna respect their peace. Like it's late.
Which is nice because not many people are like that.
Yeah, I would say like being a cosplayer, I definitely know if you're not doing something that's like easily to approach somebody, like just don't approach them. They're probably busy. And since I was having my little fangirl moment of like, oh my God, she's right in front of me. Wow. I saw the reactions of that, so I was like, okay.
Mm,
I'm glad I got to see her. I'm glad she was in front of me and I got to just be blessed by her presence. But like I'm not going to go bother her. I've met her before. I'm going to meet her again.
I'm
Um
sure.
I no, I will. I love that one. She does a
Um,
fashion show that like one of my like lifetime goals is to somehow be a part of this fashion show. I don't know how. Don't know how I'm gonna do it, but like I'm gonna be a part of it. She and I are gonna have to talk to each other. So
nice.
manifesting it.
Now, future cosplays you're currently working on, or cosplays you would like to do in the future.
Oh, I have like a billion that I want to do.
All right, so
Uh,
top five.
top five of the ones that I want to do. Um, I want to do Hawk Girl from DC,
Ooh, well,
and I want to have.
that'd be pretty cool to see because you've done you have experience with wings, but seeing her helmet and then seeing her nth metal mace, that'd be pretty. Her Morning Star,
Hmm.
that'd be
Yeah,
pretty
so
cool.
I not only want to do that with like cosplay, I want the fully articulate wings. I want to do all of that. Um, I also want to do that for a bodybuilding show. So those are going to be two very different costumes, but very similar. Um, I want to do Sailor Moon. I've never done Sailor Moon, and I've kind of been holding off on it because I really want to make it special when I do it. I want to do Shira from Princesses of Power. It's the new Shira show. She-Ra. I kind of combine the words. If you ever watched He-Man growing up, it's
Mm-hmm.
his twin sister, another universe. Anyways, Netflix picked it up recently.
I
Really cute
remember.
show. Um, yeah, really, really cute show. I love it. I want to make like a very beautiful sword that really like I want to make a crystal sword basically.
Ooh.
Um instead of just the stereotypical like either foam sword or metallic looking sword.
I get what you're talking about. I've seen people make crystal wings and crystal type wigs.
Yeah, so I want to do that with the sword because a lot of that show kind of goes off of this idea of like crystals, and like technology used through these different types of crystals. So I've always taken or believed that the sword, like my take of the sword is that it's like a big giant crystal.
Ooh,
So I
that'd be pretty
basically kind of
cool.
want to make like a resin sword. So,
Ooh, that'd be pretty. That'd be. I mean, I've seen people like make like the resin knives and everything you buy at cons,
mhm.
but like seeing a resin sword, that'd be pretty. Excuse my language. That'd be pretty fucking cool. Okay. There are people. I said my one curse word.
Yeah,
Um,
you you got it. You got the
your
one.
your next two future cosplays.
Okay, so my next one coming up is so I'm doing Agent Symbiote Squad with my friends coming up next week.
What symbiote are you doing?
I am doing Queen Carnage. So I'm doing
Queen
Carnage.
Queen Carnate? Ooh.
So basically Queen Carnage is Mary Jane. Um and so I will have basically I've already done Carnage before, but I've adjusted.
I have seen the one for your that you're getting ready for Holiday Matsuri, the Zentai Queen Carnage suit. I have seen many of those, which I have to say that
Yes.
seeing those, I've seen the Gwenem one before too.
Yeah, so basically I'm taking that one and I've made some adjustments to it. Because basically agent symbiotes are like these super spies and stuff, and they have like armor and they have guns and they've got stuff. So I've got this cool mask that my friend made me of like kind of this teeth jaw thing that's gonna
Ooh,
be covering my.
I have seen people do that for Melina from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, so I have one of those. And then basically I've like torn up part of the sides to make it kind of more symbiote looking. I've got guns, I've got knives, I've got all sorts of stuff getting ready for this convention, and it's so unnecessary, but I'm really excited for it.
Nice. And your last one, whether one you're working on or one you want to do.
Um, hmm. I don't know. To be determined, probably.
I mean, I think honestly seeing a Hawk Girl one would be pretty cool, and then of course seeing senior resin made sword for She-Ra. That'd be pretty cool. So,
Oh, oh, wait. I don't remember this character's name.
what are they from? I may know. I mean, I may have an idea
League
who
of
they.
Legends. The girl who's like a fox thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe it's not Kita, I don't think.
I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with Grog Strongjaw. I'm familiar with a few of the characters, and I'm also, of course, familiar with Laura Bailey's character Jester.
I can't remember what her name is. But I'm
I'm
currently working on this. It's a
I'm sure.
bodybuilding costume for one of my friends.
Oh
So
wait, League.
she
Wait. Oh, you said League of Legends?
League, yeah, League of
Oh,
Legends.
Oh, okay. Give me a minute. I know who that is. Box. Give me a minute. I know who you're talking about. You were talking about Ari.
Yeah, her. Um,
Okay, well, I thought you said Critical Role for a minute.
oh,
Okay,
no, League of
so you
Legends.
work. So Ari is gonna. Ooh, that'd be pretty. A bodybuilder version. That'd be pretty cool.
So my friend basically already has these like foxtails that she competed in a competition with, and I basically asked her personally because she's a very close friend of mine, if I could eventually make her a bodybuilding suit that she could then wear with the foxtails. And so basically, I'm trying to like redesign, take all of the attributes as much as I can to make a bikini for her. And I'm currently working on that. That's just been taking a lot of time. Um, and it's going to be my first time making like that type of suit because there is a lot of glitter involved.
Oh,
And
I believe I believe it.
it's a passion project and I want to make more. I love like making those type of things. But it is just something so new to me that I it's just taking forever.
No, I get it. So before we end this, because I have another interview I need to do here shortly. Um, last minute advice you want to just want to throw out there to those who are listening, whether it be for
Um,
whether it be a cosplay bodybuilder or cosplay builder or convention stuff like that.
don't let yourself hold yourself back. Don't be the reason you don't experience something new and fun and exciting. Always put yourself out there. Because you will never have a great time. Like you will always have a good time, but you will never have a great time until you just try something totally new. Whether that be bodybuilding or conventions or um anything, I guess, in life. But always be willing to try something uncomfortable because that is where some of the best experiences you will ever have will come from. And if I could give anything, that would be it. Because every time that I've tried something new or done something that I was uncomfortable with or was nervous about, I always had somebody to eventually support me. And because of that, I've gotten to experience some wonderful, beautiful things. And so, yeah, don't let yourself stop yourself and always be willing to try something that makes you uncomfortable because you will never have a great experience. You only be limiting yourself to good experiences.
Hey, I can't argue with that. And I think that should do it again, McKenna. Thank you for coming on to Cosplay Contacts. Get to know that cosplayer. Be sure, for those who did get to go to Holiday Matsuri and for those who will be going to Dragon Con in 2023, be sure to be on the lookout for them. And yeah. And once again, thank you for watching this episode of Cosplay Talk Contalk. As always, I am Win the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.